Are you struggling to learn the modes? Is it just not clicking? You're just not getting it, right? What are they? Like, how do I build them? What do they sound like? Why can't I get this information in my brain? Fear not, I have built the Crooked Cloud Super Mode Decoder 5000. You don't need to know how the internet works to surf it. You don't need to know how a cell phone works to use it. And now you don't have to know that music theory. You just need to know how to count and how the music notes go in order. I will teach you how the modes work, but at the same time, you don't need to. If you just use this chart, you'll be a master of the modes in literally like 20 seconds. Pick a note, pick a mode, and you'll know what chords are in there and what notes are in there, and you can make music with that new mode in no time. I haven't seen anybody teach the modes in this way, and I think that's one of the reasons why people have a hard time with it, because you're not seeing the relationship that they all have with each other, which this chart will show you. We'll go through it. I'll show you how it works. I'll also build we're going to build G Lydian, and we're going to know those chords in literally like 2 minutes. And mainly it's going to take that long because I'm talking. If you just use this chart, you can build any mode, any scale, anything you want in literally like 20 seconds. As fast as you can count to 7 and run through your notes. Boom, there you are.
So this is super easy. Basically, step 1, choose a starting place, and step 2, matching the colors, just move forward and write the stuff down as you build. And then step 3, just make music with the new stuff you wrote down. So you're gonna have to need to know a little bit of music theory at this point. If you're probably trying to figure out what the modes are, you're probably a guitar player. But yeah, it's a little easier to see what's happening with modes if like you're like a piano player or something. It's kind of something, switching keys when you're on the keyboard is a lot more obvious as what's changing with the relationships. Whereas when you change keys in a guitar, you just kind of slide up or down basically to the new spot. So that's one of the things I think as guitar players we have a hard time understanding what's going on with modes. But you don't need to be a guitar player to get benefit out of this, even if you're like studying music. Long story short, you're going to be able to enter in whatever note you want and build any of the modes and see all the chords that are going to be in there. And this here is going to help you figure out how to get to the next spot whenever you're building. So I've already built a C major here because that's what you should at least know by heart at this point. That is also called the Ionian mode. So that is actually the same thing as C major, and you build that based off of this formula, right? But this formula here is also, depending on where you start, the mode that you are building. So the formula for C major or C Ionian is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, right? But if you just shift your focus to, say, D, which is a minor chord, you build that Dorian mode by going whole, half, whole, 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 half, whole. So that is what's going to give you these different flavors. That's what essentially a mode is. It's a different formula of getting to different places, so that when you choose a particular focal point, you get a different sensation of emotional content. So for instance, F, is going to be a major chord. We're in the Lydian, F Lydian mode, and you would start getting to your next note by taking a whole step. So let's go ahead and build one, and we'll see how this works, because let's say you get an assignment and you need to know how to build something, or you want to just try to get outside of your comfort zone, or if you're just trying to see the relationships between these different modes and different keys, this is a great tool to do that. So redo typing, Shift Command Z. Bing, 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 bing. Anyway, I'm choosing to start with G because it's just somewhere I'm not used to starting on, and we're going to choose to build the Lydian mode. So if we start with G, we know that this would be our 1 chord because we're going to focus on this, and it's going to be a major chord. To get to our next note, we will take a whole step, and that's going to get us to A. And A will be our 2, and that's going to be a major chord. Take a whole step to get to the next one. Next note would be B. B is going to be a minor chord, so our 3 in the key of G Lydian, 1, 2, 3, is going to be a minor chord. take a whole step to get us to the next note, which is C sharp. C sharp is going to be diminished, and we take a half step to get us back around, because everything in music is cyclical. So once you reach the end, you just start over again. That brings us to D. D is going to be a major chord, so our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the key of G Lydian is D major. Do you see that relationship there? If we are in G Lydian, G being our 1, this is our 2, 3, 4, this is our 5 chord. Our 5 is going to be a major chord, D major. So we keep going, and let me just go ahead and pop these other ones in here. Bing, bing. So now we have built the G Lydian scale, G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp. But at the same time, because all this stuff is totally related, we have also built A Mixolydian. We have built B Aeolian. We've built C sharp Locrian. And we've built D Ionian, E Dorian, and F sharp Phrygian. And you can follow these steps to build those scales, but these are enharmonic scales. So F sharp Phrygian is the same note set as G Lydian, but the thing is, you get a different sensation when you choose G major to be your focal point than if you would choose F sharp minor to be your focal point. That is literally the difference between the Phrygian mode and Lydian mode, is the formula that it takes to build it. So you can use these same note sets, just like C major and A minor use the same notes. There are other ways of building musical scales that have different chord structures, and that is the reason why every single mode has its own kind of vibe, right? A 1-4-5 in Ionian is not going to sound like a 1-4-5 progression in Phrygian. And so the best thing to do with this is to build it, write this down, follow these steps here. Choose a starting place just like we did, run around the circle here, build it out so you know your scale, you know the chords that are going to go in it, and then just make some music. You know, see what the Ionian mode sounds like. See what what a great thing would be to do is build D Ionian, and then build D Dorian, and then build D Phrygian, and then build D Lydian, and build all this just starting from one point, and you will see that each one of them will have different because you'll be using a different formula. It'll bring you to a different place, and that's what you're experiencing with the modes. You're experiencing a different formula with different chord structures using a different focal point. And that's just like saying, Midnight Blue and Cobalt Blue are, they're both blues, but, you might use them in a different painting. Same thing for the Ionian mode and the Lydian mode both start on major chords, right? They both start on major chords, but that does not mean that they both have the same, happy, fun feeling. There's a difference there, right? Just because Dorian and Aeolian start on minor, there is definitely a difference in vibe, and that's something as a musician you should be studying and checking out and exploring, because there's some awesome things there.
2 things to remember if you want to get further into building modes is I don't play loud music after lunch. That'll help you remember, based off the major scale, what mode you're building. So I hope that made sense to you. And I'm going to teach you one extra step here. If you can just remember these 2 things, you'll be able to essentially remember everything that's happening inside of this chart. One is the major scale formula, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. That is the formula you need to build a major scale. And then you need to remember this phrase, I don't play loud music after lunch. You've now remembered all of your modes. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half is the major formula. You can remember those, put them together, and you can build literally any mode you need, just knowing that, and then the fact that music is cyclical. So pick a point, start. If you hit the end, you just continue back on the other side, and you do that till you build whatever mode you want to experience. I hope this video helped you understand the modes better. Run through the exercises a couple times, and I'm sure you'll start to see everything come together. Hey, thanks for checking out the video, and hope you have a great day.